Hey guys, Eric here from Moski Homebrew. Today we're going to be doing a 2.5 gallon batch New England IPA, 30-minute boil on the induction cooktop, and we're going to be doing a how-to step-by-step process on how to do that coming up next. So the first step we're going to do is actually going to be heating up our sparge water, which is going to be almost 4 gallons of water. So after looking at Brugger, it looks like we're doing 3.8 gallons at 170 degrees for our strike water. So let's get that going. We're going to go ahead and call that 3.8. I got splashed a little bit. So we're going to turn our induction cooktop on, and then I'm going to run through the stuff you need to do a brew day like this and our recipe. Alright guys, so today's recipe is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be New England IPA. So we've got 9 pounds of 2-row, ½ pound of white wheat, and then we also have a ½ pound here of flaked oats that I'm going to add to the mash as well. As far as hops go, we're not going to really use too much bittering hops, maybe just a little bit of Citra. And I'm doing a New England IPA because I've got a bunch of hops that just need to be used soon. So we're just going to kind of mix them together and see what comes out of it. But for hops, I do have Citra. I've got some Cryo Mosaic. I also have Yakima Valley Hops Idaho 7 and Yakima Valley Hops El Dorado. As far as yeast goes, we're going to be using Imperial Juice yeast. Now that we've gone through the recipe that we're going to be brewing today, it is 2.5 gallons. If I didn't mention that, it is a 2.5 gallon batch. Let's go look at our little induction setup if you guys are new to the channel. So this is pretty much our induction setup. We've got a 8-gallon tall boy kettle with a ball valve and temperature gauge, and then we're also using a Avalon Bay induction cooktop, 1800 watts, 120 volt. One of the reasons I do like brewing small batch or 2.5, 3 gallon batches is that it actually enables me to brew more and hone in some of the skills and get to learn the equipment a little bit more, and also do a few more videos for YouTubes. Gotta do the YouTubes, do the videos. So we're just heating up. We're at about 95 degrees right now. Now the induction cooktop does take a little bit longer to heat up, of course, rather than propane. I mean, you're dealing with a lot less power, so that's just one of the drawbacks to it. But brew in a bag induction cooktop is it's very easy, great way to do it if it's your one-man show. Typically Eric and I are out here brewing a while, and most of it's just cleaning, doing the full setup for 5 gallons of beer. So this is a good little starter platform, I would say. All right, well, while that's heating up, we might as well go ahead and start measuring out some of our brewing salts. And a cup, 2 grams of gypsum. Gotta make sure we're in the right unit. Grams, 2 grams. So this is calcium chloride. What do we got on calcium chloride? Via the calculator, 10. So that should read 12 when we're done. We're overshot a little bit, 12.2, that's okay. Now the last one is Epsom salt at 3 grams. So that should be 15.2 then. Almost to 15. Perfect, there we go. So there's our brewing salts for today. All right, quick little update. Strike temperature is at about 130 degrees, so we still have some time. Plenty of time actually, but we're gonna go ahead and get our hops ready. We've got these Citra sitting here. We're going to tear this. We're just gonna add our 30-minute boil hops. They're going everywhere. And then we're just gonna kind of makeshift our Whirlpool edition. Grab some El Dorado. Man, this smells good. We'll do 1/2 ounce El Dorado. And then 1/2 ounce Idaho. For a total of about 2 ounces. Now we have our 30-minute edition and our flame out or just Whirlpool hops that we'll use also. Other than that, everything should be ready. Got to measure out acid, so we'll do that next. There we go. One thing to note is we are using the 10% phosphoric acid. So just when you're doing your calculations in your brewing water sheet, you got to make sure you get the right version. Otherwise, you might throw off your pH. It's a little low now. I love this game. Back and forth with the looks good. Perfect. So here's all of our additions for today, at least. We've got our strike water salt addition, our acid, which will also go in the strike water. We have our 30-minute boil edition, and then our flame out kind of Whirlpool edition here, and I think it's about 2 ounces. So now we've just added our brewing salts. Now we just have to wait for it to get to temperature. We can add our brew in a bag. In the meantime, I'm gonna enjoy beer. All right, so we've hit our 170 degrees for our strike water. We're gonna add our bag and then add our grains to the bag and then start a 45 minute timer. I think that's about it. So let's go over there and do those things. Take that guy off there. This bag's a little bit big, but we'll make it work. All right, now we're ready for our grain. Almost forgot to add our 1/2 pound of flaked oats though. That wouldn't have been good. We're just gonna dump the whole thing in. It's something like 1/2 pound, right? Oh. All right, stir this bad boy up. Get those dough balls out. All right, I think we're good. All right, and our temperature is 162, which will be okay. I wanted it to be on the sweeter side. We mashed it a little high, 162. I wanted it to be a little bit higher than typical. Typically we do 152. Wanted to see how the higher mash temperature would affect our New England IPAs. So this is a chance to do that. Mashed in at like 162 instead of 160, that's okay. We'll lose some heat. Timer. We're gonna do 40 minutes. Gives me a good break. So our mash just ended. We removed the bag, squeezed it a little bit, put it in the bucket, and then rinsed it, squeezed it. Was able to add about another gallon or so, gallon and a half, to rinse those grains, squeeze it again, and then add that to the boil kettle. We probably have, it's kind of guesstimation right now because I didn't really calculate or figure out how much water I added to it and squeezed out, probably around 4 to 4 1/4 gallons. So we may have to boil a little bit longer to get the correct volume. But anyways, we're gonna start this boil and see how things go from here. All right, so we've just reached a boil. So we're gonna start our 45-minute timer, start the boil. All right, so we're at 30 minutes till the end of our boil. we're going to add our 30-minute hop addition. Gabby's going to add our 30-minute hop addition. That basket. There you go. Good job. Woo! So our 30-minute hops were just added. The last hops that we have to add are flame out / whirlpool hops. So we will see you at the end of the boil. Alright guys, that's the end of our boil timer. We're going to go ahead and start our chiller for a little bit, turn off the timer, and then add our flame out hops. I'm going to do a hop stand or flame out hops at about 190, 180 degrees. That way they don't add bitterness to the beer, they add flavor. Alright, so we're going to do the hop stand for about 15 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes is typical. And then after that we'll continue chilling down to probably 80 degrees or so, throw the fermenter in the fridge, and then pitch our yeast. Alright, so we're about at 80 degrees now. We're going to go ahead and transfer it to the fermenter. It's about as cold as we're probably going to get today since it's about 90 degrees outside. So we ended up with a gravity of about about 1075, which ended up being about 65% efficiency, which is pretty typical for our brew in a bag setup. I think for without recirculating anything and actually being able to rinse the grains real well and doing a proper sparge, 65% is probably about the maximum you can get with brew in a bag. Also, we ended up with actually 3 gallons at the end of the boil, so my volumes were a little screwed up. Probably just didn't boil off as much because the less vigorous boil that you get from an induction, so also keep that in mind. All in all, it was pretty good. Probably end up with a good 6 or 7% New England IPA. So I'm gonna go ahead and, my God, seriously? So I'm gonna let this cool down, probably throw it in the fridge for a bit. It is hot as hell out here. I need to get inside. The beer's not gonna get any cooler out here. So throw it in the fridge. Once it gets down to pitching temperature, gonna pitch the yeast. Probably after a day or two, I'm gonna add first dry hop of about 1.5 ounces, mixture of the same hops that we were using earlier. Maybe after about 5 or 7 days, add the second dry hop, about the same 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces, same mixture, something like that. And then, yeah, after about a week and a half, 2 weeks, probably keg it and be ready to go. Maybe we'll even do a beer review on the beer that we brewed today. If you have any questions, leave a comment below, like this video, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Cheers.